This is a A6 meeting for the AM Roundtable. Start down the list here. If we have any contestants, we'll give you a chance to go through the list at least once to look for whoever you hear. So if you hear somebody, write down their call. And then if we break for them, then we'll come back and go through the list again. For everybody's comments. All right, let's see if Jim is with us this morning. WA6YOS. Very unusual. I'm afraid that might mean something seriously happening with Tom. All right, let's go to Tom, AJ632. Okay, Tom, very good on that. Let me go on down here. Gary Lewis this morning, WA7BIP. Stephen AC6BX is down at the March Air Force Base Museum, working with the Radio Valley Club there on field day this morning. I was down there and visited with him and when we started operating. Okay, let's go to Don, K6DL, please.
Hey, guess what? I'm here this morning. K6DLP, good morning, everybody. Well, the bands have, I should say the radios have been pretty busy. I've noticed the press line's got a lot of noise on it this morning. That's kind of tough, but that's all right. So Joy and I went to Crestline yesterday, and I tried my big tree twice with great success yesterday. I now have, and am so far very happy with a 40 meters altitude at Crestline. But on the second go around, I will ask you, Will, for a couple of ideas I've come up with to try to shorten that thing up and see what's the best, and we'll go from there. Back to you, Will. Hopefully we got some activity this morning here on the net. K6DLP.
You have the weirdest AM signal I've ever heard in my life. You have one AM signal 3 kcs above, 403 kcs below. I keep looking at my receiver to see if I'm in some weird mode of wrong selectivity, but it looks like I have a 12 kc bandpass, but when I'm right on 400, it's horribly distorted, and I have to tune above and below. I don't know how you're achieving that, Don. Go ahead.
I think you're on FM, Don.
Yeah, I just noticed it. Sorry about that. I was testing the 40-meter loop over here to do the comparison between the two, and I needed a constant carrier. Instead of CW, I was using FM. So I'm probably sounding like my jovial self again. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, that's much better. So I heard a stranger in there. Gary, W6RYO.
Yeah, it'll come to you. It's buried in there somewhere. Gary, W6RYO up here in Altaloma. Good morning, everybody. I'm back from the trip. Had a good time, spent time with family and up in Idaho Dunes, up above Idaho Falls, about 50 miles. Long trip, but my family's all into the dune buggies and the motorcycles and all that. And so they go out there to ride in the sand, and I was jealous. My granddaughter took me out on a nice, simple little ride, but I'm jealous that I can't do that stuff anymore. So we visited and watched them, and they go out and hurt themselves. We had one of the members of the group, the brother of one of their friends that was out there with them. First trip out, he went over a hill, and everybody, my family has all the 5-point seat belts where you're in. There's no slack in them. Well, he was using automotive seat belts, and they didn't lock up, and he rolled end to end and broke his back, bruised his sternum. He needed several screws and plates, so his vacation was spent in the hospital in Idaho Falls. So other than that, it was a nice trip, and 2,000 miles round trip is a long way to go, but we made it and got back. One other thing, interest for you, let me see, who am I talking to? Will. Boy, go away for 2 weeks and lose my brains. And I couldn't check in while I was there because the computer I used to connect everything in my shack 2 days after he went down, we lost power, and I'd reconfigured some things, and that was the only computer that was not configured to come back up from a power failure. So I had no access to my station or my equipment at all, which made me a bit frustrated. And the other thing, I noticed reading some stuff on the 7100 that back at I think it was the end of 23, so a little over a year ago, they reintroduced the radio. They made some changes, parts they couldn't get, obsolete parts and stuff. So if the patchwork I did on your 7100 control head did not work well, or for some reason it failed, they may sell control heads now. When I worked on yours, they didn't have any, and they didn't have any more. But since they've reintroduced it, that may be a spare part you can get. So if you have trouble with it, keep that in mind, that it's now still a current radio, no longer out of production. So what else? That's about it. Going to try to stay in from the heat. Weather in Idaho wasn't bad. Let me see. I'm sure there were 10 other things I wanted to say, but who knows what they are. All right, so I'll be around here now for some time, so you can't get rid of me. So AA6DD in the group, W6RYO.
Okay, Gary. That was a terrible story there about what happened. It'll never be the same again. Ken, K6YYL. It takes her a while. He's transmitting us over the web, so maybe we should break in at the end of the application and she can pick out the web. Let me continue on. Dave, WD6JUI. Gary. Real good on your field reactivity. That's great. Let's go to Dale, KN6SHI.
Hey, good morning, Will, and everyone in the group. So, not doing much this weekend, just, trying to give some points out to some people out there. And we had a good outing on 6 meters out here the other night, Will, as you know. We stirred some things up here. Good, lot of good contacts out here on Friday, I think it was. So, but anyways, everybody have a good weekend, rest of the weekend out there, and we're just gonna have a little radio time today before we go back to work tomorrow. So, anyways, back to you, Will. AA6DD KN6SHI here in Upland, 73s.
Hey, Dale, well, you've been out there stirring the pot this weekend. I'm hearing you doing a lot of good activity around 6. Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle of those Thursday or Friday. But anyway, we had a lot of good openings up into Idaho. And it was a late evening. I was towards the end, I also worked Montana. And we just kept moving around all over Idaho. And like I say, we went a good stretch into Montana. And we had a lot of activity here that they working back at them. So the band got a little crowded. At least at the bottom of the band. Let's see if Chris might be with us. KS6LAX. Dana, info UFP. John, Dave doing RSO. Hello, Jerry, CRC. Do we have any late list check-ins before we go around the list again? Call sign, please. There's Gary, go ahead. I don't know. Any comments, Gary, 76RYO?
Yeah, hi Gary, you caught me across the room. No, I talked to John last week, and he was having a lot of trouble with his eyes, but I have not talked to him since I've been back, so I need to get a hold of him and see how he's doing. But with the trouble he had with his one good eye, he's not seeing real good, but they got a lot of hope for some basic improvements. So that's all I've got so far, Gary.
Any comments, Gary? Yeah, he said his eyes are not looking quite right, but they have hope for improvement. Go ahead. Okay, Gary. Do we have any other lateness or visit check-ins before we go back around again? Laura Rubin is a famous astronomer. She was the lady who figured out that she measured the shifts, the Doppler shifts on one side of galaxies to the other side, on those that were on the plane that was to be measured, so they could figure out the velocity, and the velocity of the core as you went further out. Well, it should have, the center should have been spinning faster than the arm, but that wasn't the case. And so that's how they eventually figured out that there had to be a lot of matter that you didn't see on the inside and the outside of galaxies. Anyway, there's a brand new telescope that has first light now, down there in Chile on the tallest big mountain. It's named after her, the Rubin telescope will become more famous than probably any other telescope in history as it's being used. It's very difficult to explain how it works, but it is phenomenal in many, many ways. One of the phenomenal things about it, it has that terror pictures of that look, the camera, just the sensing element, is about the size of an SUV, and that's the sensing element itself. It's a Cassegrain, which means the main mirror is a big outside mirror, 8 meters across, and then that focuses up to a smaller mirror at the focus point that reflects it back down to a semi-mirror, and then that reflects it into this god-awful sensing element. The even though it's 8 meters across, the thing can split it within a few seconds to any place in the sky. And it takes pictures in real time. And it takes pictures again and again and again and again in real time. Its color spectrum is from ultraviolet light down into deep infrared. It's not designed to be a huge deep infrared telescope. It's instead a real-time telescope that can generate god-awful data. It generates terabits of data every second. And so it can see anything that's moving, anything that changes. It scans the entire sky every 3 nights, and then it starts over again. So if there's and it logs anything that moves. They expect to have about 10,000 log moving items, but it also analyzes all the unmoving things. This data will eventually be available for all the astronomers in the United States for the first year or so, and then it will go open worldwide. Anyone on the web, could be a 10-year-old child, and you can download the software and start looking at what you want to look at that this thing generates. It's going to make more discoveries in a shorter period of time, the decade it runs. You can keep running after that as it's scheduled for 1 decade of what it's going to be doing. And all the different astronomers can use the data for their specialty. So it's not like Alpha where you have to get in line with other specialists to get a single night reading of what you want to look at, whether it be Mars or a galaxy or Andromeda or whatever you want to look at. Like I say, this thing reads the entire universe every 3 days. So whatever you want to look at, you get to look at. It don't care. The colors in it are all real. They are the colors that the camera actually sees. So far, in the first flight, just trying to focus it, it's not on, it's in focus mode right now. So it's not really sensitive yet. But even in focus mode, it was unbelievable to fly. And within the first day of it running, it discovered some 2,000 new moving comets. And they expected that number to just go exponentially. You can either look at things that are moving, or of course the software to track the things that are moving and only look at things that don't move, or combinations of various things that all the software to manipulate what you're interested in. Anyway, that's very exciting to me. Extremely exciting. Let's see if Jim put it. WA6YOS 8650. Jim's still not there, so Jim's on to his mom. Okay, let's go to Tom, AJ6PP. Very good, Tom. Let's see if we go to Gary. Go to 87 VIP. I'm copying you. You can go listen to the remote. This is 447.880.
Yeah, I just did that.
I can just tell you about the photographs I saw, which are not really photographs, they're videos. And the clarity, even though supposedly it's still being cleaned up, is phenomenal. There is no refractive scattering. Usually on these telescopes, if you have a star in one of the central galaxies, you'll see the star will have like 10 refractive interference. Doesn't exist. You don't see any refractive distortion on stars. And then if something is moving, you see it move. What is going to be amazing, one of the things that's amazing about it, is the gravity detectors go off. Gravity detectors, and tells them the direction. This is assuming it's nighttime. In that direction, this thing can get there within a few seconds and start looking at it. So we will get some amazing real-time movies of like two black holes colliding together and absorbing each other. We probably will see something like that within the next 3 years. Go ahead. During Gary's trip, vacation, he came back out and they're out there running around on four-wheelers and, across sand dunes, and some guy slipped and destroyed his back and had to go to the hospital. Yeah, well, he described all the operations he went through. Yeah, they apparently put him back together, but he will never be the same. He was aged by 40 years, whether he likes it or not, by being plain dumb. I have no empathy for people who are stupid like that, I'm sorry. Go ahead, John, 360L, please.
Yeah, boy, 260LP. Yeah, that's pretty bad. From my first marriage, my wife's brother did that, but it wasn't to his back; it was to his leg, and they had to put a steel in his below the knee. I think it's called that one, not the femur, but the one below that. And whenever it got cold, he would tell us that it really hurt, like really, really bad. So anyway, I don't know, you want to take up my antenna project now, or you want to just wait till we go over to 300? Go ahead, Thomas.
Thank you, Ken. Anything else, Ken? Okay, go ahead, Gary. Anything from Gary? All right, let's go to Don. Anything else, Don?
Just a thought on my Delta route. I couldn't get it as high as I really wanted it. Until I removed some branches that are in the way, which is the latest project, but it is up and running. The biggest thing I don't like is the feed point is on the ground to a certain extent. It's not laying on the ground, but it's that low. And I was thinking, I wonder if I were to wrap part of the feed point in a helical to shorten the antenna, if that would work or not, or would that cause me impedance problems somewhere else? What's your thoughts on that?
Okay, just the full half wavelength all the way down to it. Try 66 feet all the way.
It's 40 meters. It's a full wave delta.
Right, 40 meters full wave delta. What you want to do is you want to go to the high voltage point. Wherever your feed is, your high current, you go a quarter wavelength around to both sides. Where that quarter wavelength is, you can load it right there. You can put a loading coil on of the length you want on both sides. So you can keep loading it there. You won't make too much difference in the overall performance because all the high current will not be disturbed. I would say put, I'm trying to remember the micrometers, but it would be something like, start out with about, say something on it's going to have thin wall PVC, and we're going to be close to base. You can see how far down that shifted and then shortened both sides, the high current side and the other side, the same amount, to move it back into the frequency you want. That'll probably be sufficient to get it off the ground using the existing field. Go ahead.
Okay, quarter wave. Okay, yeah, I was thinking right at the feed point. Okay, no, that's easily done. I've got it rigged with dicline rope so I can lower it and raise it back up without having to climb and do any of that stuff. But the initial performance was, now this is without a balance, so it took directly to the coax for the time being. But I got 3 to 1 at 70, not 70, at 7, right around 7.3 or so. And the Kenwood tuner tuned it right out. Worked absolutely phenomenal. And yesterday while we were there listening, I was hearing stuff all over the place, including ground waves from Crestline to Santa Clarita. I was even hearing that gentleman, so I'm pretty happy with it. But that will be the next attempt to improve things. And once I can get up there and get some of the limbs out of the way, the middle of the top droops a little bit, and I would rather that be straight and then work around the rest of it. So that's the report on the new Delta Loop. Back to you, Will, K6BLT. Thanks for the info.
Anytime, John, anytime. Yeah, you can always use a current loaded engine or a voltage loaded engine. Use that engine with current loading at the feed point. It doesn't have to be current. The disadvantage is you have the IR square loss for maximum at that point. Whereas if you voltage loading at the voltage point, it's more current, but there's very little IR square losses. It's all voltage. In both cases, the aperture of the antenna shrinks a little. But it's always so big, so aperture shrinkage is again not all that significant. And for practical engineering, you got to go ahead and use it and make it move up off the ground. Okay, and let me get on down here to Dave, WD6JUI. Let's turn to John, the title rating not John, Dale. Let's turn to Dale, title rating. KN6SHI.
Hey, Will, KN6SHI. Hey, what was the name of the astronomer?
Ruben is the last name.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Will, especially if you can do the pictures in the now situation. So, yeah, it's been a long time since I got into stuff like that. My first wife was into a lot of that stuff, very knowledgeable with it. So, very interesting listening to you about the stuff and the technology. They've come a long ways with that stuff. But, yeah, I'm going to look this up and read on it here a little bit. So, all right, well, waving a hand to everybody in the group. Everybody have a rest of their good Sunday out there. And good hearing you, Will. And 73s. AA6DD, KN6SHI.
Yes, I used to be very famous woman astronomy. All right, with that, any lateness through the check-ins? Anything from anybody before you shut her down?
Just me, W6RYO.
RYO, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I may have heard somebody under me. Yeah, Vera Rubin, her story is amazing. I've read a fair amount on her, and an amazing woman, and they're really honoring her with this telescope. Yeah, one thing, I just saw a blurb. I was perusing my email while we were talking, and I have not gotten any of my science magazines for the last couple of weeks because they're on hold. And I'm curious. I'm gonna look into this. It says zombie satellite, a dead NASA satellite which stopped working in 1967, has suddenly burst into action, unexpectedly blasting out a radio pulse so powerful that it outshined every other object in the sky. Since the satellite is no longer quite functional, there are a couple of theories of why this apparently reanimated. I got a feeling, bright as everything in the sky, that it is close, so it could be pretty bright. But just an interesting. I'll see if I can find more about that when all my literature arrives. But anyway, that's it. I thought you'd find that interesting that a satellite just decided to come back alive after holy cow, 50. I can't calculate that far. 70 years? Wow. So anyway, that's it. Enjoy. I'm going to curl up my comfy chair and sit in the air conditioning today. So everybody enjoy. AA6DD in the group, W6RL.
Yeah, no, that has to really help with my the other concern that I worked on is that it's up working right now. It's still working. Back about 5 years ago. And that we use and work on it back in the batteries when it was put up. So I'll just say what it is. Usually it's a battery. The temperature changes, some heat up, cool off, not just really rotating. And the gas machine is done whenever you thermally exhaust or something like that for 20 years or 30 years. Usually you can break loose whatever the battery problem caused. Or sometimes it will break loose. You may have a battery short that just finally break loose. And voila, then you look at solar panels, it's just back on. And obviously bullshit is bullshit. Because narrow band signals are always more luminous than wide band stuff. Anyway, we'll get out on that one. Anything from anybody, and then we're out of here. Is somebody here? I can't, anybody copy that person? No, I don't copy you. You're under the noise. I know you're asking with my name to that copy, but that was going to be below a noise level. A relay?
It's Dana.
Oh, Dana. Okay, Dana, go ahead.
Yesterday and doing their satellite, but there's only 10 satellites left and none of them were towards our area, so it was a full field day for me. Anyway, thanks for the relay, and just wanted to check that. It's 70 upwards.
Okay, Dan, yeah, I hear you through the remote. You're getting into the remote, I copy that. All right, well, congratulations on giving it a good try, even though they weren't up. You can only do what you can do. Go ahead.
Yeah, the problem is that the space station was doing its talk. We came over at 7 a.m., but we can't start until much later. And then when all the satellites were done, that's when field day started. And then nothing really till 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. So it was really disappointing that we only had 10 satellites.
Yes, we definitely need more.
Definitely. I'm going to be messing with my satellite system because my rotator has a reversing polarity problem I got to deal with. But thank you for y'all, and thanks for letting me in on the net. That's 70 lectures.
All right, we'll check you at 8:39 on sideband. We got 150, 8:39 on sideband. AA 650, we cleared the AM roundtable and going to pick it up 300 and sculpting it up. Okay, thank you. It's good, it's kind of normal. We don't have a storm, so everything is kind of normal for the summer months here. It means the strategy is possible. The stay is low enough that you're not going to get stunning sculpting out through strategy. You might give a little report of what was pricey. What was that Thursday? All righty. Have a good day.